Hi, and welcome back to another episode of the History of Fan Anime. I'm your host, William Chow, and in today's episode, I'm going to conquer one of these really rather controversial questions, and the new budding bootleg industry that's happening in anime, and that is printable Japanese animation merchandise. Okay, so again, before I begin, and before I begin the history and everything like that as well, I want you to go down below, click like, and click subscribe to make sure that you'll get more of these episodes, and when I put up more suggestions and that kind of stuff and more topics, you'll be able to be notified when those come out. So don't forget to hit that notification bell too. All right. So what am I talking about? This new budding bootlegging industry that's happening in anime. Okay, and I think the best way to sort of explain it is to sort of go back and just give you an indication of how these sort of things sort of occur, right? And then what the first sort of wave was. So back in the earlier days, we were very dependent on media in order to get our anime. We actually had to physically, because the internet wasn't fast enough, right? Because before 1995, we didn't have really fast internet and even good computers, right? So we had to physically, send and buy and distribute DVDs or VHS tapes or laser discs, okay, or CDs in order to get our music and our anime from one location to another and be able to listen and watch the various types of animes, right? So at that time, the fans of anime, were very concerned and very, very notable about the quality and the the authenticity of various different animes, right? And so that's why they wanted to make sure that a lot of the anime laserdiscs and DVDs and that kind of stuff came from Japan, okay? And all of a sudden there's this, getting things from Japan is very expensive. So all of a sudden people started looking for cheaper ways to go. And they started finding out that, there are these, CDs that are, licensed to go in, let's say, Taiwan or Hong Kong or in China, which are much cheaper, okay? Typical, for example, like a typical Japanese CD is like $30 US, where in Taiwan might be like 5 or 8, right? And so all of a sudden, people started trying to get in those CDs and DVDs and that kind of stuff from there. There's a whole bunch of places that have DVDs that were subtitled in English and Chinese, for example. A lot of those came out of Hong Kong and Taiwan and whatnot, and I think now they make them out of Malaysia and all that kind of stuff. So they get those from out of there, and they bring those in. They try to sell those at conventions and that kind of stuff. And at that time, people at the conventions were very, very, I wouldn't say were righteous, but at least they were concerned, and they did not want this stuff, sold. They want original Japanese material, and I think they had the luxury of doing that because the fact that they had lots of other vendors who were legitimately trying to sell Japanese material, and they did not want them to be, angered by these people selling cheap knockoff stuff. Okay, so. Notably speaking, there was a lot of self-policing going on there, and so there was this big hatred, this big divide of authentic Japanese material and this Chinese bootleg knockoff stuff that they didn't care about, so they kind of went up. Okay, so that's sort of what the dynamics in the dealer's room was, but there was this sort of open door. Okay, that's sort of all that kind of happened. That is available in anime, and that is called the Artist Alley. Okay, now the Artist Alley is just simply this thing that basically allows just general purpose artists, just like you and me or whatever, who have a particular product or whatever, or a particular thing that we can draw, that we can make by hand, things like buttons and bookmarks and small little even hand drawn prints and that kind of stuff that we did. And whatnot, and you can basically sell, and doujinshis even, right? Fanfics and those type of things, right? We can take those to the convention. We can sign up in the Artist Alley at relatively inexpensive prices, and basically sell off your stuff or promote yourself. Promote the fact that you can do photoshopping or whatever, and that's what you did. And conventions allowed this under the fact that you are a starving artist, and we'll stick you with the artist people, and keep you away from the actual dealers and actual stores and stuff, right? But the dynamics ever since the anime crash has totally changed, right? We as fans no longer need physical media, right, to get our anime. We can now, we can watch it online. We can stream it. We can get Crunchyroll, Netflix, or whatever, and we can get all this stuff online now. We don't need to have to buy the DVD. We don't have to buy CDs. We don't have to buy anything like that. Those type of mediums to get our anime. We can still buy it, of course. And I do, encourage anyone that if you like particular shows like Cowboy Bebop or your Attack on Titans and Naruto and that kind of stuff. If you like the show, please buy the DVD. Just show them that you do support their work and you want them to make more. Okay, even if if it means, hey, let's show them that, hey, a sequel is in order. The sales are high enough. Make a sequel, please. Right, type of thing. Okay. But all of a sudden now we've come to a point where the dealer's room is now shrunk because the amount of anime dealers have totally shrunk, especially after the crash. The amount of merchandise that's available has thinned. Okay, because there's other ways to get the merchandise. They're not selling the same kind of things over. The anime fans don't want that same kind of thing at that kind of price anymore. So what has happened is now the dealer's room is shrinking. So now a lot of conventions are letting a lot of the artist alley, or maybe combining the dealer's room and the artist alley together, so that they're all in one place, right? All the things of commerce are together. And what has now sort of more or less happened now is that the artist alley has now taken over the entire dealer's room, so that even at the last couple conventions I've been to, 80-90% of the convention is the artist alley. People selling their homemade stuff. Selling, things like, Photoshop images, their own prints, their own drawings, posters and prints that they made themselves, even to the fact that they're making wall scrolls, things like, bed sheets and pillows and that kind of stuff. They're all being made, using characters and likenesses, using their art and whatnot, of anime things, without actually paying for their intellectual rights for them. So, for example, if I'm a budding artist or whatever, and you could do some Photoshop skills and that kind of stuff, and I said, hey, I could bet you I can draw some pretty, shall we say, pretty racy, spicy pictures of Sailor Moon, and make all 5 different Sailor Moon characters, or maybe what the hell, let's draw the entire line of it, okay. And what the hell, we'll throw a Chibi Moon in there as well, just to satisfy the lollies. And yeah, we can make a nice huge line of them. We can sell them for like $20, $30, $40, $50 each. I can go to Staples and I can print them off at maybe $5, $7, $8, $10 a piece. And I can go to the convention and sell them for $20, $30, $40, $50 each, and maybe make a bulk deals, or like something. If you buy 5 of them, I'll give it to you for like a certain bulk price, right? So this is helping the starving artists. But here's the problem, you see, this person who does this obviously didn't pay for any of the intellectual rights attached to Sailor Moon. You don't own that character or any of the characters in Sailor Moon. You just made things that you're using and writing the Sailor Moon name, for profit. And of course, this is totally illegal. And unfortunately, anime is one of the very few industries that sort of kind of split along this and kind of lets it kind of go, because obviously if it was something like Star Wars or something, for example, and you drew a really slutty picture of Princess Leia and you tried to sell this at the San Diego Comic-Con, I'm sure the people at Lucasfilms and Disney would probably come right knocking onto your door and telling you to take that shit down and get rid of it or else you're getting a lawsuit up your ass. Okay, so obviously, the anime is one of these very few things that still, kind of is, tossed up about this, and a lot of conventions don't really quote enforce it because, they have a lack of content. There's lack of vendors. There's lack of people buying tables at conventions for the dealer's room. They need these people there to fill their room, okay, to sell stuff, even though if it's not legitimate stuff. they need people there to sell the stuff. So the convention people are now looking away, and now the fans are now quote looking away because the lack of material. They're finding this artwork fairly nice and fairly good, and it sort of fills the market, and so they let it go. Okay, and this is where the problem sort of occurs, and I'll show you some examples. So one of the things I want to illustrate right away is I'm going to read this poster print I found here. What I have here is a classic Masham and Shiro poster. Okay, and so this is all done up in. It's already wrapped in a nice plastic. It's got a nice cardboard board on it. It's a Cyber Deluxe here, Masham and Shiro. That's from Ghost in the Shell. It's nice, textured print. It's also a nice sort of harder, sort of ribbed sort of paper on that there. But it's a nice little print I bought out, and I remember it being listed in the Previews magazine back in like '96 probably. Very nice print. But I'll pull that one out because, for example, let's say you are interested in Ghost in the Shell, and you would basically go on to like a Google or eBay or whatever, and you look up classic pictures of Ghost in the Shell. And you get a wide variety of different posters coming out, including some fan-drawn pictures of Masham Shiro's work. And obviously there's some nice, spicy pictures of Kusanagi there, which was just like half naked and body parts sticking out. And you may end up buying one of those type of things, and that's if you like that, that's fine. But you realize that this person has not, maybe have really good Photoshop skills, but he has not paid for and, not basically, contributing any sort of intellectual rights protection against any of the characters in Ghost in the Shell, right? So basically, sure, it doesn't look like any of Masham and Shiro's work, but he's using the image of Kusanagi, okay, and he's selling these prints on eBay for a particular amount of money, and he's profiting off of that. Okay, and that's highly illegal. But whether or not those people are going to chase him down and sue him or whatever, then that's it's up to them. But I mean, that's sort of the loophole that's now sort of occurred, and that we as people at the conventions have let it slide, and we as fans have grown to accept this as being perfectly okay. This is this is artist alley stuff, so this is perfectly fine. Here's your problem. If I'm some manufacturer or whatever like that, for example, let's say Walmart, for example, and I want to basically import some pictures and stuff of, let's say, Attack on Titans, and I want to be able to sell it in my Walmart stores for, let's say, $9 a poster or something. And then here's some Yahoo, while you're here, takes his Photoshop and decides to print this picture of a nice slutty picture of some Attack on Titans girls, and decides to sell those on eBay for $20-30 a shot. Well, I'm the person at Walmart going, hey man, I'm paying the licensing fee to get these into my store so people can buy legitimate merchandise. Yet, here's another guy who's paying nothing, and he is basically using that image to basically show off his art skills, and then of course make money on the side. Okay. You can see where the problem comes in. And people complain, well, I wish more people would sell merchandise. Well, you can't sell merchandise if you get all these people out there bootlegging it all. And it's cheaper. Or they thought of it earlier and they're bootlegging it all. Okay? And so this is a very big problem. Okay? Let me just show you another example. Okay? Okay, so here I have it's one of my favorite posters actually. Again, this is my Madoka poster for Orange Road. Okay, this is an official promotional poster for Orange Road. It basically has it's for the Loving Heart CD. Okay, give me a Loving Heart. It's a Futureland poster. So from this corner, it tells you the CD numbers for that particular CD released by Futureland. Okay, and even has the credits and illustration information for Kimi Takada at the very bottom. Okay, so this is an authentic poster. I've laminated it in a 5mm piece of plastic. so that way I don't get any tears and that kind of stuff in the paper. So it's a very nice poster, and it's one of my favorite ones that I have for it. Okay. Okay. Now, of course, Orange Road is very, very old now, and it's very hard to get any particular types of stuff for Orange Road, right? But what some people have done is basically, hey, we'll take another good example of something I have here. This is the Madoka book for Orange Road. So basically, it's illustrations for Orange Road, specifically, made by Kimitaka for Orange Road. This is one of the few very last books of Kimitaka that she wrote or did for Orange Road. Anyway, so that's also very, very expensive too. Anyway, so I can go into this book and find that exact picture, okay, that I see over here, all right? And so some Yahoo guy could basically go over here and say, okay, yeah, I'm just going to take this picture, take it to Staples or Office Depot, and photocopy this picture into many different little pictures, and then, do some work, put it into a photo frame or something, and then sell it again. Now, of course, you realize that this is going to be highly, highly illegal. But apparently it's perfectly fine on Yahoo Japan and perfectly fine on eBay. So this is a new sort of secondhand economy that sort of come from this merchandise and whatnot that people have sort of attached to. And again, people are just kind of looking away, thinking, yeah, it's okay. And again, same thing happened back in the day. With anime DVDs, when people just instead of buying the legitimate ones, the U.S. Copyrighted ones that they paid the rights for, to basically release in the U.S. But no, people are going out and buying the Hong Kong release versions and buying the Taiwan versions and that kind of stuff because even though the English was crappy, it still had enough. It still had the anime, and it was like a fraction of the price. And it got to a point where the Hong Kong guys and the Taiwan guys were basically ripping the U.S. DVDs so they can get the proper English, properly timed and properly grammatically correct English subtitles, putting them onto those DVDs and then selling them back into the U.S. So they were legitimately bootlegging it and legitimately selling it back to the U.S. Okay, and making the profit off of that. And so this is sort of another thing that's sort of going on, and this is part of the problem why we can't get proper merchandise and that kind of stuff, because again, the bootlegging has started to get so prolific that it's not even worth releasing stuff anymore because of the fact that they'll just bootleg it, right? And this sort of happens with not just paper things, but it's also happening with also cloth wall scrolls and posters like that. People are printing obviously things like T-shirts. They're printing body pillows and bed sheets and all that kind of stuff. Whatever they can market and sell with an image can now be sold at anime conventions. And again, only really happens to anime because you do this kind of stuff with anything else. So you decide to say, hey, I'm going to take the Nike logo and I'm going to put it onto a T-shirt and I'm going to sell it on the boardwalk of on the Hollywood Strip there somewhere, and I'm sure those guys at Nike would be very impressed and would be very interested to see what you're doing. Okay, but anime, we seem to somehow turn our eyes and say, yep, this seems to be fine, no problem, whatever. And let's get straight. It's not that I don't support. I'll give you one more example. Okay, I brought this one up in my last feed too. Okay, so here we have a poster of Puritas, okay, a fan-drawn picture and whatnot, for the record of a lot of swears, and fairly nicely drawn picture. It's a pencil drawing with light shading and that kind of stuff. And again, I've also at the time I laminated it and put it into a thick piece of plastic there to protect it. Okay, but now 20 years later, okay, or multiple years later, I look at this thing. And I look at the signature, for example, because the guy actually signed and looked at it here. I don't remember who in the hell I bought this from. Don't know. The name is not clear. No website or address or no card or anything that I attached to this. So I have no idea who makes this thing. And the other thing is that this thing holds absolutely zero value. So you spend $100 or $300, $400, limited edition print or whatever. It doesn't matter, because unless this guy here is, let's say, Todd McFarlane or something or whatever, right? And he's like, oh yeah, this is one of the limited edition Todd McFarlane, Puritas posters that he made for Record of Lost Words before he got famous and made Spider-Man and all this other stuff. Then it might be worth something. But this person, I have no idea who he is. I don't know if this guy's got made it famous. I don't know if this guy went on to doing artwork or got into comics or anything. I have no idea. So this thing technically holds no value except to the person who actually drew it and to you, the person who bought it. Okay, I could not take this and put this on eBay and say, yeah, it's some random poster of Luck or Lost Words. I don't know. Don't know who made it, who wrote it. And obviously, I couldn't. The problem with having non sanctioned merchandise and that kind of stuff is that if ever this voice actress, for example, that does Record Lost Wars, comes to a convention, you can't give this to her to sign, right? This is not authentic merchandise, right? And even if like Amano comes to to a convention, you can't give him to sign this. I mean, this is not authentic stuff, right? So really, if you buy a poster like this or whatever, then really it only holds value to you. And once you don't like it or you don't want it on your wall again, I'm not going to be able to hand this over to my kid, nor I'm not going to be able to sell this at a convention, because as I said, most people won't care that what this is. Right? No one knows what this is, especially nowadays, right? Like 20, 30 years later, everyone will look at this and go, it's a fan drawing picture of Record Lost Words. What's that worth? Probably not more than what you bought it for, 20 years ago, right? Because it's, unless you know who this person is and who this person somehow became famous, then who cares, right? Whereas, an official picture from from Orange Road here, right? I'll probably pick this up for, well, it is a promotional poster, so this is probably one of the ones that Asa sent me, for in one of the or got for me for one of the things. And even when it was being sold at the conventions, $20 maybe at that time. But I mean, nowadays, you go look on eBay, and if you try to look for something that's authentic like this of this particular size, you're looking at $200, $300 for something like this now. So I mean, especially being an actual authentic piece of work like this. So so definitely, things that are real do definitely hold value, and do definitely do have some significance to that. And again, if I wanted to, get Kimitaka to the scientist, this is definitely one of her works. Okay, so this is definitely one of these type of things that would become useful at conventions. But here's the problem: conventions are having problems with finding content, and certainly promoting fan art and huge doujinshis and that kind of stuff, and this doujins or drawings and that kind of stuff is not helping the fact that do the artists want to come to a convention, which is all no longer about the industry. It's all about fanfics and that kind of stuff, and that's probably why a lot of people, for example, don't go to Comic-Con and that kind of stuff, because they're not selling legitimate stuff. They're all selling everyone's fan art and that stuff, and it's all based off of people's work, like Naruto and Dragon Ball, Sailor Moon, and all this other stuff, Attack on Titans, and Fullmetal Alchemist, and all this other stuff. But none of those artists, and maybe and for a manga artist, they are truly starving manga artists. Okay, none of those people are getting any money from these bootleg posters and that kind of stuff that are now prolifically, being sold at all our conventions and that kind of stuff, and being sold online, and being, basically thought of as being okay. So it is very difficult for an industry to grow when this is the situation. I don't know if they're going to fix it. I don't know if they can. But that is the current situation that's going on. Anyway, Hope you thought this is very educational, and hopefully that this may change some of the choices that you choose in the future. But definitely go down below, click like and subscribe, and we get more into other issues that we have in anime that we have now. Okay? So, until next time, see you again.